We're dealing with frequently asked questions on the topic of abortion. These are evergreen. This is sort of an evergreen thing for me where I like to discuss on this show, basically to equip our listeners about these are the kinds of questions that you get asked all the time about the topic of abortion. If you actually engage with someone, if you actually hear from people and they ask why you are pro-life, these are often the kinds of questions you'll get. And we'll discuss the topic of abortions in cases of sexual assault. But I think one of the topics I wanted to take almost separately is, the most commonly asked questions you have about the topic of abortion are, what about abortion in cases of rape and incest? Rape and incest, rape and incest, rape and incest, rape and incest. And I've always found it odd that those two things were put together. A little bit odd that those two things were put together. Now, I understand very often incestuous situations are tied in with sexual assault. Okay, I get that. However, just taken in isolation, there's something very ableist about, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we're having remotely like classist things put into it where we think the only people who are, the only people who are inbred are, hicks from the South, not us, sophisticates from California or something. But regardless, incest itself, yes, it's not a good thing. No one is here promoting it. It's not a good thing. It can lead to all kinds of, congenital abnormalities and disabilities and things like that. But one of the things, but I just find it a little odd to say that incest is the basis on which you are able to say that the humanity of the unborn child should be overlooked. And this sort of struck me when I heard this comedian. So her name is Catherine Blandford, and she's actually really, really funny. And I thought I would play a little clip from her show just to kind of demonstrate this point for you all.
I'm from the South. My parents are cousins. And that actually is true. I took one of those tests. I was like, Dad, why is Mom's cousin on your side? And he was like, eat your meatloaf. And this is true. I did find that out. I was upset when I found out. I should tell you that. And I wasn't mad that it happened. I do not blame my parents. They were very young when they met. It was puppy love, same litter. Dude, I didn't find out until I was 26 years old. I was like, yo, I could have used this when I was younger. Imagine the scholarships I could have gotten. I didn't know I was diverse,
So I thought that was a pretty funny way to react to finding out that your parents were biological cousins. Now, the thing about this is if you look her up on YouTube or Instagram or something, Catherine Blandford's her name. She's very funny. This is a perfectly healthy, normal person. She's really funny. Looks totally normal. Does not look like, the kid playing the banjo in the movie. What was the movie set in the South with the Deliverance? Did not look like the kid playing the banjo in the movie Deliverance. She's a very normal looking person. She's very funny, normal, smart person, professional comedian. These people are sharp. And I just sort of look at this and I think there's a whole political movement that would say this person, that this is like the automatic thing that should result in that person not living, is the fact that her parents were cousins, that she was conceived in an incestuous relationship. I guess first cousins is not as bad as, first cousins in the spectrum of incest. There are worse combos. Okay. Anyway, regardless. But still, this is like the prototypical thing, the thing that people put forward as a reason for legitimizing abortion is instances of rape and incest. And why do people say incest? Presumably because of the biological defects that people can be born with, but not every person who is the product of incest is necessarily born with all those biological defects, nor even if they were. Are disabilities a reason to deny somebody's humanity? No, I don't think so. There are plenty of people who are born with all kinds of disabilities. Plenty of people who have disabilities completely unrelated to anything with, their family trees. Too many similarities in the family tree. There are plenty of people who have disability, born with spina bifida, born with this, born with Down syndrome, born with all kinds of things. And if you're going to say that incest as such renders a child conceived under those circumstances not worthy of love and protection because of the chance that they will have some kind of congenital defect, then you're sort of condemning a whole swath of people with with congenital defects. Are we going to say anyone who has dwarfism should not be born? Someone with spina bifida should not be born? Someone with any of a whole host of things? If we start looking at the value of human life based on whether or not you're going to be physically perfect, it gets you into some pretty dark and dangerous places, especially as we advance in technology and various kinds of gene editing and CRISPR technologies about, gene editing. Are we going to start making decisions that some people are worth it, some people are not, on the basis of, are sex-selective abortions going to be okay if you really want a boy and that's what you actually care about and you don't want a girl? I've seen people opt for abortion for something as little as a cleft palate, something which is eminently fixable. So I really push back when people say abortion in cases of rape and incest, because I think it's actually hugely insulting to anyone with a disability to say that the circumstances of that person's birth are so bad because of the potential congenital defects that they might have. And clearly not everyone does, might have, that's so great as to justify abortion in that setting. I just find it to be sort of a wildly presumptuous way of looking at the world and looking at the dignity and humanity of other people. All right, when we return, I want to discuss probably our most frequently asked question, which is the topic of abortion in cases of sexual assault and rape. So we're going to have a frank discussion about this and think about how we can talk about this with people who are in favor of abortion in a way that's charitable and loving and reasonable. That is next on Right to Life Radio on Power Talk.